Michael, this is sounding though. I mean, if this was the 1970s, people would look at you and go, "What? You're a commie bastard." Is this? They would be saying to you things like, "Isn't this just communism?" Now, tell us about how this differentiates from communism, and I'd also like to hear from all four of you on this particular matter. I mean, you've got this kind of idea has been bandied around before. What is so unique about Ubuntu now that makes us different?
Well, first of all, communism has never really been implemented. I don't want to get too caught up in talking about communism because the communism in its purest form, the way it was presented at its beginning, was never actually implemented. It was hijacked and distorted, and I'm sure Stephen will have a lot more information about how the Bolshevik Revolution was funded by the bankers, which I've also write about in my book. And so you realize that the pure philosophy of people working together towards a greater benefit of all the people was hijacked and turned into Leninism and Stalinism and Bolshevism and all these other things that came out of it, which was really just a dictatorship, which was just using money. They were still using money. So what Ubuntu and contributionism says that we can start using money for the benefit of the people to move ourselves away from the use of money eventually completely, because we actually don't need money. We need people, because people do everything, money does nothing.
And right now they're being hijacked by the corporations in this concept called a job, which, as Louise eloquently pointed out, is taking people away from what they should be doing, which is growing food and telling stories and spending time with their children and families and communities.
So just to add to this job thing, remember that is again a construct of our schooling system and our education system, which is also a construct of the bankers, which is really the Carnegies, the Rockefellers and the Carnegies were very involved in setting up the current education system that we have, the banking families, because they realize that they're going to have to create a dumbed down labor force in future with certificates going out looking for jobs. So the entire education system that we had is funded, the research institutions, the universities, all these are funded by banking families.
Well, you just have to look at that. If you go to almost any university these days, the various expert branches, what would you call them? Divisions, not divisions, but the
faculties.
Faculties, thank you. That's what the faculties of these research institutions are nearly always sponsored by the high-powered corporations. So if you're doing a medical degree, there'll just so happen to be a Pfizer research laboratory which is funding a whole bunch of research, and there'll be next door will just happen to be engineering firms for the engineering. I do understand that, but I want to go back to this and get Stephen's input and everybody else's as well. Stephen, is there an element of communism in the Ubuntu philosophy, and to what extent is this? What extent is it comparable?
No, I don't think there's any remote connection with communism. Communism was a brutal system enforced by the bankers in order to exploit initially Russia and then China and the other East European countries. It's not a natural system, and it can only be maintained by force. So that's why it never succeeded.